mean, honestly, all the sites have their own like niche, I guess, their own little perks and differences. I mean, LiveJasmin seems more focused on a personal interaction or a more, you know, a more one-on-one type of situation. Whereas a lot of the other sites, it seems like they dump you all into a chat room and you can see everybody else that's in the chat room and you can see all the different conversations going on and that sort of thing, where it seems like LiveJasmin is more focused on just the individual and the entertainer, performer model, just depending on, yeah, the situation, I guess.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting that, as you mentioned earlier, you kind of were drawn to Jasmine more during the pandemic, which would make sense because at that time, that's probably what really we were all looking for, is more of that like connection with another human being.
Oh yeah, and that's, I mean, everybody's locked up, can't go to bars, can't meet people, things like that. People want to go home and talk to somebody or go out and talk to somebody and they can't. And I mean, here's a situation where you can go and just talk to someone and make a connection with someone.
How do you feel like LiveJasmin helped you get through the pandemic?
Just being able to meet people, know that people are going through this similar circumstances. And I mean, honestly, I know a lot of people go to sites like this for, you know, other purposes and things, but at the same time, I mean, there's a big social connection where you can actually meet someone, make friends with someone, hear stories about their lives, share stories about your life, and, you know, just be more than, you know, just somebody you're seeing on the internet, but actually like form a friendship.
Absolutely. And that's kind of one of the things we wanted to show about the industry, and specifically LiveJasmin with some of these interviews, is that it is actually more than the flirty or sexual content. It is actually a lot more. Do you have a favorite model?
A couple.
Okay, I want to talk about them. What are the attributes or the characteristics of the models that have become your favorites?
Honestly, just the ability to carry on a conversation. I mean, being around as long as I have with the different sites and everything, there's obviously a script that gets followed a lot of times, and you know, it's the same, you know, where are you from, how old are you, what's your name, that sort of thing. And with the ones that I really connect with, they go off script rather quickly. So, I mean, there's been models that'll get in and start talking to them, and it's like 2 days later, they're like, I don't even know what your name is, because they went so far off script that they didn't ask the basic questions. We just started talking and it just went. So yeah, just that ability to be themselves, I guess. I mean, I know there's the they do have to keep some things under wraps just for personal safety and that sort of thing, but you can tell when somebody's being a persona and somebody is actually being themselves and actually just opening up to you.
1000%. You're proving a really important point, which is that you don't even need to have those surface level things to have a genuine and authentic interaction with someone. And I think that's why so many people, and probably even yourself, gravitated towards sites like Jasmine, especially during the pandemic with what we went through, because you are able to supplement to some degree that human connection that's just authentic and real that we need.
Right. Oh yeah. That's, I mean, I've talked to some before where you start getting such a good friendship and that sort of thing, and then they're like, well, we haven't even done anything yet. I'm like, so you're having fun, I'm having fun, just that's what it is. So I mean, it's not always about the like the flirting, the sexual things or anything like that, but just, you know, making that connection with someone.
Your favorite models, what would you say is the main thing that they make you feel?
Just happy, I guess. I mean, I know a lot of us have been through, you know, things in our lives and that sort of thing. So just with, you know, the weight of life, being able to go in there and have that, you know, just be able to laugh, have a good time, and not think about everything else for a while.
Absolutely. So it's kind of like a place of just to de-stress, disconnect, and just have fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. That's, I mean, I've got one now that I visit regularly, and I had to actually tell her that I wasn't going to be on for a little while because of this. And like she does little like art things and stuff, and she's like, I'm making you something, and she'll send the picture of it in LiveJasmin to me on the chat and things like that. And you know, just out of nowhere, she'll send a random message of her walking down the street just talking, and you know, just normal life things that they're willing to share with you. It just, yeah, makes things more real, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are little pieces of joy, you know, that I feel like if a, you know, boyfriend or girlfriend or even a friend just sent you something like, hey, I'm drinking my favorite coffee, you know, that's just, it's like a moment of joy.
Right. Oh yeah. That's, I mean, even in the past week since I've been on vacation, my sleep schedule's been a little bit not normal. And I mean, I think it was 2 days ago, I was up at like midnight and found somebody new on LiveJasmin and just started talking to her. And then she had a private session with somebody else, and it was 5 a.m, so I fell asleep. And then she comes back on. She's like, "Where are you? Where'd you go?" She goes, "Well, I talked to you for like 5 hours, and now you're not here." She goes, "Why did you do this to me? Now I'm feeling jealous because you're not answering me." I'm like, "Oh my God, like I'm sorry." It's like we were just talking. So yeah, it's fairly easy to make that connection, I think, both for us and for them. So
Absolutely. I think that's probably what makes the connection feel so good, is that it is actually genuine and authentic on both sides a lot of times, you know?
yeah.
If you could put into one word the main value that you feel like LiveJasmin brings into your life or benefit, what would it be?
Happiness.
That's a good word. That's a good word, and that's a good emotion.
Yeah. And that's, you have a rough day or anything else, and you know, somebody that you talk to a lot is online, and you know that they'll listen to you and they'll cheer you up. It's, I mean, it's good to have.
Absolutely.
You know, I never really thought about traveling or anything like that, and then starting to know people around the world, it makes it a lot more appealing, I guess.
Do you feel like you're able to almost learn about the world and these cultures and travel vicariously through some of the models?
Oh yeah, absolutely. um I mean, there's quite a few have just like sent me little video tours. Like they went and visited like an old church or something, and they'll send me the video of them walking through it, take pictures from the top of it, and show the cityscape and stuff. Um, there's a couple who like show me pictures from their apartment windows and stuff. There, one is like next door to a rail yard, and she'll sit there and take videos of the trains going by because she loves trains. She's like, "New train came by today and it's red," and all this stuff. Very cool. I mean, I just talking to some, and they're like, you know, "I brought this today." I'm like, "I don't even know what that is," and they'll show me this food and tell me what's in it and everything else. I'm like, "That's disgusting, but sure." So you know, um, or you know, I I know a couple that have their family have cabins in like Siberia or whatever. And, you know, you being from the US, I have the perspective of it being like some cold, vast wasteland or something. They're sending me pictures and it looks, you know, it's beautiful. They've mountains and trees and green and everything. And it's like, you know, it just completely changes that worldview. So it's very interesting to see it from a firsthand perspective instead of just, you know, what you get fed on the internet or by the news.
That to me shows me again that the connections that you've developed are quite real, and there's so much more than just flirty or sexual content. You know, a lot of people can't see past that, and so they hold a really negative stigma and judgment towards the model and the site. And I'm curious, as a member, what would your message be to those people?
The models are people too. I mean, they're doing what's necessary to get through life. I mean, in a lot of areas, there's not a huge opportunity for work. They're trying to go to school. They're trying to, you know, better themselves. This might be their only option to have. I know plenty of models that are completely non-nude, and you know, they're there to make connections. They're there to make friendships, and you know, a lot of them. I was with one for about 6 months, and she wanted someone to teach her English because she doesn't hear it, and so just talking to her one-on-one and, you know, giving her pronunciations and things like that. I mean, it's not just about the sexual things. It's about life. It's, you know, there's nothing that they're doing that's bad in from my perspective. So I mean, it's just, you know, they do what's necessary in order to survive. And you know, some of them actually enjoy it. Some of them are there because they have to be. But unless you actually get to know them, you'll never find out.
And you bring up a really good point in that, you know, a lot of models are, this platform, LiveJasmin, is providing them with a career where they're making more money than what they could mostly anywhere else.
Mhm.
From your perspective, knowing that you are contributing to their dreams and their hopes and their goals and their life, how does that make you feel?
Good. In like everyday life, there's not really an opportunity to do something like that. I mean, there's, you know, they talk about, oh, you can give to charities or things like that, but you don't know where it's going. Whereas, not saying that, you know, someplace like LiveJasmin or whatever is a charity, but you make a connection with somebody and you know that the time or the money spent on them is actually going to a purpose. You see just how much it affects their lives. People make a considerable tip, and you know, I've seen models break down and cry because they know what that money is going to do for them.
Do you feel more comfortable showing different parts of yourself than what you would maybe someone who is part of your day-to-day life?
Absolutely. I mean, you have something in your day-to-day life that you're, whether it be a coworker, family member, anything like that, and you know, if they find out some of the things that you think or feel, they would be concerned about it and possibly pry in a way that you don't want them to. Whereas somebody that's, you know, essentially a stranger, just being able to tell them something and then, you know, forget about it, it's easy. I guess you don't have that worry of, you know, are they gonna like call my mom and, you know, tell them that I'm depressed, or are they gonna, you know, call my coworker and tell them that I screwed up a thing at work and didn't tell anybody else, or you know, yeah, it's definitely makes it easier to talk about just anything.
You know, it's interesting you say that because I remember calling one of my best friends one time and I said, okay, when I die, burn my journal because I don't want anyone to find it, you know, because sometimes you just need to let out like thoughts that may be actually meaningless or people would judge you for, or they just don't understand, but it's necessary to get them out. And so I'm seriously, I told my best friend, like, you can have my journal because you won't judge me, but take it and destroy it, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you need that outlet or just to be able to vent or
Yes.
bounce the most obscure, strange idea off of somebody else and see what the results are. So yeah.
I recently heard a quote and it was saying, I can't remember the exact wording, but the gist of it was if you really want to love someone, then you won't try and change them. You just love them as they are. And I feel like, you know, I've conducted a lot of interviews with members and models. And one thing that is really clear to me is that that's what the really good models do. They just accept their members exactly as they are and love them, you know?
Oh yeah. I I think that's the ability of like a good model. I mean, they're not just a model, but they're, you know, a psychiatrist or a support group or, you know, just anything they need to be just to make you feel good while you're there. And the last thing they want is somebody moping through their room and dragging down the mood. So, I mean, it's a special talent to be able to cheer people up and make them forget about the bad things.
Absolutely.
As for like relationships and that sort of thing, I mean, honestly, at this point in my life, I work so much that it doesn't feel like it would be fair to bring somebody in, which is why it's another good thing to have something like this, um, where I can talk to somebody as long as necessary and, you know, log off and go to bed and not have somebody who's going to go, well, no, we're not done with this conversation yet. You can't go to sleep yet because we need to talk about this or have that fight or whatever, or, you know, and that might be kind of selfish, but I mean, probably like a year prior to COVID, I was single and then COVID happened. So I obviously didn't, you know, have an opportunity to meet anybody during that. But at the same time, I'm just investing more in my work and trying to make the things that I'm working on successful and not having somebody else there going, well, you're spending a lot of time on the computer today. You know, it's handy. And plus there's a lot of situations where I can continue to work and just have a model on my screen talking to me and I can talk back to them and just continue doing what needs to be done. And they don't care that I'm busy because they're busy too.
For people that are single and want to be single or remain single for whatever reason, I feel like having a platform like LiveJasmin helps to bridge some of the gap that being single can sometimes create, because you are still going to get connection, but it's going to come with a lot less, you know, drama. Relationships can come with drama from time to time, as we all know.
Yeah, it still gives you that relationship outlet, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, it still gives you some of those necessary things, and for the most part takes away the negative parts.
Yeah, the things that you don't want to deal with at this stage. I get it. I hear you. What are your thoughts on the Jasmine community? Have you connected or made acquaintance with any other members or not really?
Members, a couple. I actually do have a member that I met on LiveJasmin, and now we talk pretty regularly on Telegram, from Switzerland. And you know, he also pretty much his whole life collapsed when COVID happened. He works from home now and that sort of thing. But like we actually adjusted our times and stuff of sleeping and waking so that we could meet up and chat and, you know, just kind of give each other motivation to go through the day. There's another friend that I met who's down in Mexico, and talk to him probably a couple times a month. So I mean, yeah, besides models, I mean, there's other people in the community, and just there'll be a chat going on in the room, and occasionally you chime in, and then suddenly the model's like, I'm here, and it's just us members talking back and forth. So yeah, I mean, it definitely does happen. You obviously have people of like minds that are coming to places like this or very similar situations. So it's not difficult to, start that connection and have a friendship that way. I mean, the guy in Mexico has already said, hey, sometime after August, come down and see me. You can't come down before that because the in-laws are here. But, after that, feel free to come down and we'll hang out. And so, yeah, it's another one of those things where it gives you that broader picture of the world where, in my regular day-to-day life, I'm not going to meet somebody who just happens to live in a nice place in a nice area in Mexico and say, hey, come down and see me, because it doesn't happen. So it's when you get into places like this and you start broadening your horizons, and you start meeting people, making friends that you otherwise would not have.
I love that. I love that you've made friendships in the community. That's beyond acquaintanceship. That's like a friendship, the guy from Switzerland where you guys are motivating each other, and you're going to go, sounds like, potentially see someone who's in Mexico and enjoy a nice vacation. That's incredible. I love hearing those stories, and hearing that the community overall, I mean, we all have trolls, like there's trolls in every community, but overall, the feedback that I've heard about the Jasmine community, even amongst members, is also pretty positive.
I mean, I'd say 95% of my interactions have been positive.
Yeah, that's great to hear. That's really great to hear. Well, you've given an incredible interview. I want to ask you, though, is there anything that we didn't talk about or touch on about your experience or the platform as a whole that you would like to share?
All the experiences have been good. The site is, I mean, fairly stable. I mean, there's not really anything that I would change, I guess. It seems like anything that I would think of that would need to be changed would make it too similar to the other places, which is why I'm not there. All intents and purposes, the site is exactly what's necessary.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Okay, I like to end the interviews by asking one final question, which is just, what's something you're the most grateful for in your life right now?
The ability to be able to continue making connections in life. Just broadens my horizons, and just being able to know that I'm making some sort of impact on somebody else's life.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Sure. That was fun.
Good. I'm glad you had fun. I really appreciate your time and this interview. It's been great.
Thank you.